Hey everybody, I'm back with an Oscar talk video along with some overlooked gems. So before I talk about the Oscars, I got to get into some recommended films that I didn't get to see by the time I uploaded my top 10 best films of the year list, of course, in January. So, I mean, naturally nobody has, all the time in the world to see all these movies, by the end of that calendar year. I mean, unless you're a full-time paid critic, maybe. I'm certainly not. And I'm definitely self-aware enough to know that most don't give a lips about my reviews, and that's okay. I just do it for fun, I'm one of a billion people on the internet who feel the need to share their opinions on movies, and I just enjoy it, so that's why I do it. Although I may be focusing more on TV shows in the future, since really that's my job as I work in live television broadcasting. So maybe we'll talk more about TV in 2025. But we'll do one more video about the movies anyway. And since the Oscars are right around the corner, might as well make some predictions while I'm at it too, eh? All right, so the first recommended film that I want to put out there that definitely deserves an audience is A Different Man, starring Sebastian Stan, and it's a wonderful film about a man's perspective on life, after having surgery from this facial deformity. He winds up looking normal. He winds up looking like handsome Sebastian Stan, of course. But then he winds up meeting this other man who also has that same facial condition, and he's played by the wonderful David Pearson, who actually has that facial condition in real life, and also has that very positive perspective as well. So Sebastian Stan's character, he gets very bitter and jealous, and he becomes like the negative pretty boy, while this other guy is so high on life. So it's just a wonderful film. Definitely see it. A Real Pain. Now this movie seems like there's not much to it. It's pretty basic. Two cousins go to Poland to take a tour of the concentration camps, and they honor their grandmother as well. But during the third act, you realize what this film is really about, and it really does pay off emotionally. I feel so. Hats off to Jesse Eisenberg, who really made this movie just a rich, emotional, rewarding film. He gives a great performance along with Kieran Culkin. I can actually identify a bit with Kieran Culkin's character. Culkin will very likely win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. Next up is Flow, a movie I've already reviewed, so I won't talk about it much. It's a beautifully looking animated film from Latvia, made with Blender. Man, I almost want to just buy Blender and make my own movie now. It's very inspiring. There's no real dialogue here, just animals trying to escape a flood, and it's not supposed to be super realistic either. It is a bit of a fantasy. It stars this black cat with 9 lives, certainly, and it may win Best Animated Film, but it certainly faces some hefty competition from The Wild Robot and Wallace and Gromit as well. Hundreds of Beavers. Yeah. Now this movie, I couldn't watch this movie until 2024. I don't think it got its release until last year, although it's older than 2024. It's a very funny and clever little film. It's black and white, but it's a lot of fun. It plays like an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. Really, it's very weird. A lot of the animals are just dudes in like furry costumes with big heads and everything, and the violence is so comical and silly, and it's not gory at all. It's really silly, and it was made on such a low budget, but I highly recommend it because it delivers on the slapstick humor and over the top cartoon zaniness. Idea Man. Now, I talked about this one last year. It was a great documentary about the life of Jim Henson, and it was made by Ron Howard. There are many, 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 many docs about the Muppets and Sesame Street and Henson and everybody over the years. So I recommend all of them really. But this one might be the best one yet. My Old Ass was better than expected, about a young woman who takes magic mushrooms, and then she gets to talk to her older self, played very well by Aubrey Plaza. It's a chick flick. I know it is, but I dug it. Even as a dude, I dug it. I thought it was very clever and sweet and had a nice emotional ending to it. And last up is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. So I just saw this. It just won the BAFTA for Best Animated Film. And it's a real treat. Wallace and Gromit, they've always been entertaining from The Wrong Trousers to The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. All their adventures are just delightful and just a complete treat for the eyes, to drink in this beautiful claymation, style of animation, and it's brilliantly directed. It has a shot of beating Flo and the Wild Robot, but we'll see. Now, let's talk Oscars, the Academy Award, the golden statue, the trinket everybody wants to get. I mean, isn't the nomination really everything? I mean, if you're an actor, you may not want to make a speech, you may not want to deal with all the press and everything after. You may just want to show up and go, hey, thanks for letting the world know that I'm awesome, and that's it. I think if I'm an actor, I don't know, I'd just be happy with the nomination. So it doesn't really matter who wins so much. It's it's a matter of numbers of votes and stuff like that. But I'm just going to talk about Best Picture here mostly. And there are 10 movies nominated for Best Picture. I saw 8 out of the 10 movies, so only 2 that I couldn't really see. And I'm going to start with my favorite, and that is The Substance. Still, definitely my #1 film of the year. What a brilliant way to really send a message about ageism and obsession with looking younger and plastic surgery and, the agents and managers that are all sleazy and they just want younger and sexier, younger, sexier, younger, sexier all the time. There's nothing not sexy about Demi Moore, even at her age now, but still, that's not the point, right? It's just never enough. It's never good enough for anyone, so she becomes obsessive and things go very wrong with this Substance. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, though, just because of the body horror imagery. It won't be for all audiences, and therefore it won't be for all Oscar voters. But Demi Moore, definitely. Demi Moore, however you say it. Give her the Oscar. I think she deserves it. The only other choice, I think, might be Mikey Madison for Anora, because she bared all for that movie as well, just like Demi Moore. But I do think Coralie Farjit, I believe is her name, the director, she should get a Best Director Oscar. If it was up to me, she would anyway. And speaking of Anora, it was a fun, somewhat unpredictable movie about a sex worker who marries into a Russian mob, and they want her out. They hate her. It might win Best Director. It does have a shot for Sean Baker. Did an excellent job here. Just a very kind of different movie. The movie does not go the way you expect it to. It doesn't get as crazy as it's been advertised. I don't know. It seems to get this reputation of like, wow, things go crazy and there's so much violence in the movie. That's not really the case, but still, I think it's pretty darn good. Definitely worth a watch. And yeah, definitely Mikey Madison does have a shot at Best Actress. She's played a couple of psychos in the past, like that Scream movie and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's how I know her, as this psycho. But in this one, she plays a real kind of snobby stripper slash sex worker, but she does an excellent job here. It's a wonderful performance, although I'd still vote for Demi Moore. The Brutalist is a possible winner for Best Picture because it plays like those old epic David Lean movies, with the old-fashioned intermission in the middle. Yeah, your bladder will thank you at the theater. Of course, at home, you can just hit pause, and you don't have to worry about that. So I definitely recommend streaming it at home. If it's too long, I mean, that's unsurprising, and not everybody has this much time to watch a movie. However, you could dice it up. You could watch it in 2 parts if you wanted to. I think it's already rentable, actually, or ownable anyway on streaming. So Adrian Brody, he's great. He may just get the Best Actor win here. I was very impressed with Felicity Jones as well. Very memorable performance. Really great accomplishment for a director. And it can be a little slow at times. It's not the most exciting picture, but it is a beautiful movie to look at, certainly. Just because it's the longest movie, though, it doesn't guarantee it's going to win Best Picture, but it is my pick. It's my pick to win. In this situation, I'd prefer The Substance or Dune Part 2, but hey, this movie could take it. You never know. It could also take Best Director as well for Brady Corbet. A Complete Unknown was a terrific biopic. It was really, really good and deserves some kind of trophy, I think. I had it as an honorable mention on my previous top 10 list of the year, but I'd probably put it as like number 8 or 9 now, just because it's, just seeing it again, it was very, very impressive. The performances, the music, the way the film paces, and there's some lovely little touches of humor in there as well. There's a couple of really funny moments. Dan Fogler provides one of them. But anyway, yeah, no, it's really good, and it stays with you, the music and the performances. It might win, say, Best Sound, maybe, unless Dune Part 2 does. Chalamet deserves a gold statue for the performance, but I think it will likely go to Adrian Brody. Same with Edward Norton's brilliant performance playing Pete Singer, the legendary folk musician. He'll likely lose to Kieran Culkin as well, but, accolades all across the board for A Complete Unknown. I loved it. I wouldn't be upset if it won Best Picture by any stretch, but I doubt it. Now, Dune Part 2 is another Chalamet-led film, of course. It was an excellent sci-fi fantasy adventure. Even if they changed some things from the book, it wasn't exactly a perfect adaptation, I know, but they did the same thing with Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and I got no complaints there. I understood the changes, and kind of pictured, well, if they did it exactly like the book, it would be like this, and I don't think that would have been quite as good in movie form. So, I understand the Dune purists out there that weren't that happy with the changes, but for me, I was cool with it. I feel Denis Villeneuve was robbed of a Best Director nomination here, but oh well, it's a great part 2, and they pulled it off, and that's all that really matters. And it may also win Best Visual Effects as well, so I would look for that to win that award. Wicked. Now, Wicked may get shut out completely at the Oscars just because of such tough competition in each category, but it was definitely the best musical of the year, and I hate musicals, so so just being objective here, from a critical standpoint, looking at it and seeing how it was done with a lot of style and panache, and it was really the only musical I saw in 2024 aside from Emilia Perez and Joker 2, Filet-O-Fish, which was a very bizarre idea that didn't really work. But I'm glad Wicked got nominated, I really am. The cast was really great, especially the 2 leads here, and Jeff Goldblum makes a great wizard. Conclave was damn good, but it's a strange pace, though. It's interesting, and then boring, and then intense, and then boring again. So I don't know about the flow of this movie. It was very, very interesting. I don't think I've seen a movie quite like this, where it seems like just monotony, just dialogue, throughout the whole thing. Mostly, there's a couple of big sound moments, but otherwise, it's like just a lot of talking. But some of the talking is intense, and it's fascinating, and it does pull you in, so it's pretty good. I feel it's a bit overrated, though. The ending wasn't that rewarding, I felt. It can get bogged down, too much dialogue, but it does have this very, very interesting pace till the end. Like I said, the cinematography is also very, very impressive, and yeah, acting is brilliant across the board. Emilia Perez. Now, this one is more than a bit overrated in my book, in terms of being a great story anyway. Despite the intriguing premise, a Mexican cartel gang lord, this supposedly evil dude, fakes his death and then transitions to start a whole new life. No better disguise than to transition, certainly. That's an interesting angle. I didn't really care for the songs, though, or the way it ended. I thought it was kind of cheesy. There is some great work in here, though. The cinematography definitely stands out. The dancing choreography was very impressive. Zoe Saldana is very, very good. She'll likely walk away with Best Supporting Actress, but I was really underwhelmed, after so much hype, the 13 nominations. So I just found it kind of corny, kind of boring, with some really irritating songs, despite some impressive other work. As for I'm Still Here and Nickel Boys, well, I haven't seen them yet, so not entirely sure really where to see them. I think maybe the theater might be the only place, but I can't see them right now. I will eventually, and I probably won't share my opinion about them, but I will see those movies. I gotta see every movie nominated for Best Picture. And that's it for this video. I'll be back to give my first impressions of Daredevil Born Again in a few days, as I will be shifting to more TV-focused reviewing. So I thank you guys so much for checking out this quick little Oscar talk video with some other highly recommended films. And until next time, peace.